Welcome to the Work the System podcast, where we help entrepreneurs make more and work less using systems. And I'm your host, Josh Fonger. Today, we have a special guest. We have Janet Kafadar, an online business coach who helps other coaches, entrepreneurs, and experts along their journey to building a sustainable, profitable online business. Janet is a busy mom of 3 kids under 8, and she's personally experienced the frustration and overwhelm of feeling stuck in her own business. And today, she coaches and teaches women and men building their online business empires after dark while working a day job, raising a family, and everything in between. Okay, Jan, I'm very excited to interview you today and learn some of your secrets to making this happen. But before we do, what's the backstory? How'd you get into this line of work?
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me on, Josh. I really appreciate it. And I'm pleased to be chatting with your audience today. Yeah, so my backstory. Oh, my goodness. So I started my business when my son was just a few months old. And prior to that, I worked very much for management consultancy, did a lot of learning development work, which means creating training programs on management skills, leadership, emotional intelligence, all of that kind of stuff for government departments here in Australia. And so that was great. And when I had my son, I realized I don't want to go back and work for anyone else, which is pretty much the story for most people who have a family or have their first child that realize, actually, I don't want to do this at all. And it just wasn't going to fit. And I had many situations where my son was falling ill and going to daycare and all of that stuff. And I was having to run home from work and feeling incredibly guilty. And so I was kind of thinking, well, what is it that I can do? How can I kind of start this business, or what is it that skills that I can offer? And so at the very beginning, I started out as a VA, and I did that for a little bit, keeping in mind I had about a 4 to 6 month old baby, and trying to be a VA and go work with clients on the other side of the world. And then I wasn't sleeping, the baby wasn't sleeping, and oh my goodness, it was a complete hot mess. So that didn't work out at all. And then continued, I went back to work. I went and had another job and realized that there was this kind of whole space of creating online courses. It's like the typical one of those days, like, what am I doing with my life? And I had stumbled across like a Brenda Bouchard video or something.
Uh-huh.
And then it kind of all opened up from there. I was like, oh my gosh, there's this whole space. Like, how did he create this course? How are people doing this? And realized that my skills at the time really lent itself to the work that I'd done before in for that management consultant. And I built an agency while still working in a day job and raising my family, a course creation agency that kind of helped entrepreneurs create online courses. So we took care of pretty much everything: the curriculum design, the tech stuff, the design, all of that. It was completely took that over. And so it wasn't very long. I did that for about 9 months whilst I was working a day job. I was covering someone's maternity leave. And then I was at a point where I could leave that job. But when I did that for about 3.5, 4 years, and only up until recently, probably about 18 months ago, I decided I didn't like it anymore. I wasn't enjoying it. I completely fell out of love for the work that I was doing. And also the landscape had changed a lot from when I'd first started
Mhm.
to that point. And I got to a point where I was like, oh, what am I going to do? Like, after you've worked on something so hard, you've built it up so far, you've got this rhythm going, clients are coming in, people know you, you get referrals, etc., etc. Then suddenly I was about to close it down. It was kind of heartbreaking, but I just wasn't enjoying it. So was going to say I took a hiatus, but something happened. The universe, God, whatever it is, must have been listening to my struggles, because someone contacted me and headhunted me to work on a project for a local organization here to do some consulting work for them. And it was almost my exit strategy from my own business to do something completely different. And the work and the project itself was huge, which meant that I wouldn't have been able to really continue with the client work that I was doing privately. So the projects I had, closed them all down, and then decided that, okay, well, I'm going to go in and do this consulting work. And it was almost the breath of fresh air and what I needed to kind of get some clarity, and some space, mental bandwidth to figure out my next move. And then I decided, coaching is where it's at for me. And I'd always loved that. Always loved doing that when I had my agency. I loved the fact that I could come up with a strategy and real plan to help my clients. And yeah, that's how I fell into this area of online business coaching and really wanted to help women just like myself when I was first starting out, who were working a day job, raising a family, trying to juggle all the things and then trying to get their business going as well, really helping them with the strategy side of things. So yeah, so that's how it's come about.
Wow. Well, that's a great segue to where I want to go, which because a lot of people I work with have this struggle with a jumping off point. But before I do, I've got to ask a question selfishly,
Mm,
which is
yeah,
about just that I'm curious about, which has to
yeah.
do with course creation. So I've been kind of following the course creation space for the last decade, but you know more about it than I do. So what has changed? Because people used to sell junk courses for $3,000 easily
Mm,
10 years ago.
yeah.
It's getting more competitive now. And so, what is the future of course creation for people who have online businesses or physical businesses? Do you see the price continuing to go down? Do you see it just becoming more commoditized? Like, what is the future of
Mm.
course creation as an industry? Just your perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. So I really see course creation, something needs to change. And the reason that I kind of fell out of love for the work that I was doing is because it felt it was feeling very sales based. People had the amazing sales pages and all of this stuff. And
Mhm.
then you would get into it and it would be complete junk. And from my perspective, nothing to engage the part to engage the student, nothing to help them move forward. And also the online course platforms don't that are around at the moment, except for one that I absolutely love. They don't have any level of engagement to engage the person inside of there, give them points, give them activities, keep them engaged, keep them excited, or unlock certain areas, nothing like that. And it just was feeling really stale. And it was almost like I was trying to do that for my clients, but they weren't really understanding the value or the reasoning behind that. It was more so that they just wanted to make the course to be able to make more money and so that they could just sell it and then just leave it. And I was always trying to say, like, well, you can't do that. You still need to be there to engage them, to make sure that they get the outcome that you have promised them, or otherwise, that's just fraud. you know, I just,
Mhm.
I just didn't. It just didn't resonate with me anymore. And so yeah, so that's really why I stopped doing it. And it's probably quite a big stand to take, but I just felt that the online course platforms weren't measuring up to the standard that I wanted to be able to help my clients with, unless they were going to pay absolutely thousands for maybe a custom built platform or something like that. And just the clients that I was working with weren't really understanding the value behind why it's important to engage your students and make sure that they get an outcome. Or otherwise, it's just having 5 testimonials where people have gotten results is not enough when 150 people bought. Like
Mhm.
you can't do that. So yeah, it just didn't resonate with me. So that's kind of where I see it going. I do see it kind of sitting at the same kind of riding along, but I think that the people that value transformation, getting a transformation for their client, will be looking at ways to engage their community and engage the people that have bought a lot more. I definitely see this turn happening there.
Totally agree. Wow. Yeah. I couldn't have said it better, but same kind of thing. That's why we do all live stuff, and it's human
Yeah,
to human interaction because just the results are so much better. So uh,
absolutely.
it's more work, but anyways, enough on that. So back to your back to what you do now. Very interesting. So let's just paint some scenarios because I have. Let's see if I can think of a client that I have off the top of my head. So okay, so I've got a client right now who he has worked as a distributor for adult beverage company. So he's got a
Mhm,
full time job, right? So he's making
mhm,
sales. He's making about $80,000 a year,
cool.
and he wants to transition into doing online marketing services. He got a lot of skills. He has a
Mm,
background in it. He has a website, and he's afraid to make the jump because he feels like he's got to do an all or nothing jump. how do you tend to that kind of situation? Because he has a website, but he hasn't made it live yet, and because he's afraid of losing his job because he's making 80 grand a year. How does he
Mm.
how does he deal with that kind of situation?
Yeah. So one of the things that I always tell my clients is, so the business that he wants to start, is it a conflict of interest to the organization that he works for?
In
Do
this
you know
case,
that?
no.
Or
Yeah,
no?
it's not.
It's okay. Well, then that's fine. The second question is, does he have anything in his contract that says that he can't have some sort of public facing a side business? Now, the reason that I ask that
Mhm.
is because some organizations don't. Like, whatever you do in your private time is completely fine. But I had another client who's a lawyer where she couldn't like, she has a side business, but her face isn't the face of that, and you don't know that it's her. So I would just make sure that he checks with the HR team or something like that, and just find out if there's any clauses around that in his contract or anything. If he doesn't, then that's awesome.
He doesn't, but it's more of just the reality of,
Mm,
when his boss and his managers say, "Hey, what do you don't seem to be working as hard anymore, and looks
hmm.
like you're really busy in this other company, and
Yeah, yeah,
maybe we want to
yeah.
fire you now." So,
Yeah, but they can't buy him. So what I would say to him is that publish the website, put it out there. And that fear that he has is the fear that almost all of us have. Like, oh my God, what will my family say? What will my boss say? And what will so and so say? But the reality is that just as long you show up and you do your work that you are paid to do, that you are hired for, that you're being paid for every 2 weeks, every month, right? You
mhm,
do it and you do it the best that you have almost never done before, because you're proving to yourself, to your family, that to your employers as well, that you're still working exactly the same. There's nothing that they can fault you on, and you still then publish your website and you do that work. But you don't need to work like crazy hours after work as well to be able to get the business going.
mhm,
And if he has, that fear of what will people say, the reality is that people will probably like high five him and be like, "This is amazing, great work. So pleased that you're doing this. This is fantastic." And it's mostly in our heads that we think, "Oh my God, everyone's gonna like hate me, and they're gonna think that who am I?" That imposter syndrome tends to come in. Who are you to have a side business? Who are you to eventually want to do your own thing?
mhm,
So that would be my tips to him. Don't worry about it. Do not worry about what other people are going to think. You're going to have to, in business, as Josh, that you're going to have to, grow a thicker skin. And
mhm,
really, most of the time, you just ride with it, and you have to just kind of let it roll off your back.
mhm,
And if he wants to make that transition, one of the things that I would say is that don't leap yet. Do not leap until at a comfortable place where you're almost at a point where you consistently making a certain amount of money. So whatever his goal is, whether it's 5K, 10K, or whatever it is, at least to a point that you're at least halfway and you are consistently kind of bringing in money and you have almost a system down pat, then that's the point where you can start thinking, okay, right, I think I've got this. I know I'm doing, because then at that point, you know that once you just need extra time to be able to work on your business, which will then, it's like rinse and repeat. You can still keep doing the same thing over and over again. But
mhm,
do not leap until you have that consistent revenue coming in, because otherwise there's no point. You don't need to. Don't leave that safety net that's holding you there and keeping things afloat. It's not
mhm.
worth it. And I've seen that happen, and I just think, oh my God, no, you're not ready yet.
I have seen it too. Well, so tell us about time management, because in your story with your job and the kids and
Mm,
this and that, how do you help people with manage that time? So if they do, I'll just use another example. So I've got a dentist I work with,
mhm,
and so she runs her dental practice. She's a dentist, but she wants to be a coach, right? And
mhm,
she wants to be a speaker, and she
mhm.
has kids. So how would she make that leap happen realistically?
Yes, yeah, exactly. So for her, um, and I say this to my clients all the time, you need to build your business on 20 minutes a day, even if you are changing direction. 20 minutes now. Everyone can put their hand up. We all spend 20 minutes scrolling on Facebook or Instagram or something, or watching a YouTube video for really when you didn't really need to.
Mhm.
So if you kind of eliminate that, change your frame of thinking and think, okay, 20 minutes a day is what I'm going to give myself. Whether you've come in from work like your client, so she's had a really long day at at her practice, and maybe it's having to do things with the kids or whatever it is. Spend 20 minutes doing something where it's either research based or connecting with someone, like networking or whatever it is, if you want to call it, reaching out to someone 20 minutes a day to be able to build your business. And that's where the action and the transformation and the changes in your business happen when you do that. And it's almost like a compounding effect, 20 minutes, 20 minutes, 20 minutes, 20 minutes over a month, you can achieve so much. So that would be my tip to her. So, put down your phone or whatever it is. One of the things that I used to do for myself, and I tell my clients to do this as well, is whip out your phone. And mostly this is like research based activities, as either research based or connecting. Get out your phone, download the Google Docs app to your phone, and start brainstorming at least 10 to 5 people that you can reach out to. Everyone's got email on their phone that you can reach out to connect, to let them know what you're doing, to let them know what's going on, to either connect with them, let them know what you're up to. You want to find out what they're up to as well. All of that stuff. I think that's where businesses and everything kind of takes place in those early stages, using the connections you already have and not thinking, oh, I need to run Facebook ads to get my business going. No, God, no. Like, you're not there yet. That's not what you need right now. So yeah, that's what I tell my clients. So 20 minutes a day, start building it there, start being really intentional about that. Like, no one can talk to me for the next 20 minutes, and then we can watch our favorite Netflix show, like
Uh-huh.
that's what we're going to do.
Yeah, and that's just a realistic bar that everyone can
Yeah.
do. And I think most people they're too impatient. So
Mm,
they want the results faster, and they know it's going to take about 100 hours, and
mhm.
so they just never get started. But I think so. You work 20 minutes, and then you feel satisfied. You reward yourself, but then you do it
Yeah,
again the next day, and the next day, and the next
exactly.
day. And like you said, the compounding effect is there. Um,
Yeah,
so you play the long game, as long as you have
yeah.
money coming in the bank from your day job, I suppose.
That's right. That's right. You're playing the long game, and businesses don't get built overnight. They are not the overnight success stories that you see. One example I like to give all the time. So I like Lady Gaga. I'm a big fan of hers. When she first came out on the scene, I can't even remember now. Maybe it was 10 years ago, almost 10 years ago. She exploded. Everyone's like, oh my God, where has this girl come from? She's amazing, etc. Like, she's just started. Little did they know, she'd been working her tail off, working small bars in New York and performing for like 5, 6, God knows how many years more before then. And she had that huge hit that came out, and then everyone thought she was an overnight success, but she
Mhm.
wasn't. She'd been working hard, and that's exactly how you need to look at your business. When you're building it, you're doing all of these things, and yes, you may get that win or something huge will happen later on down the track, but it's not something that happens overnight. It happens 5 years previous, 6 years previous, before anything really kind of comes together. So play the long game. It's not an overnight success.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. And then actually, when the big break does come, you're ready for it because you actually have been committed in the short term, or sorry, in the long
Yeah,
term in preparation for it. Um,
that's right. That's right.
so when you work with people who want to get started in the coaching and
Mm.
consulting, the speaking industries, the ones that you've done really well with, what should they do to get their first client? So let's say they're doing the 20 minutes a day, but eventually they come to the point where they got to start making some money. What are the tips for that?
Yeah, so fine. So hopefully, inside of that time when they've been researching and whether they've been connecting with people, they actually probably already know who those people. Like, they'll have probably a pretty clear idea of some clients or some people that would be perfect clients for the work that they do. And also within that phase as well, just going back a little bit, they will know the problems that their ideal clients have inside out.
Hmm.
You have to know your clients inside out, backwards, back to front. Because if you don't, you can't connect with them. You just can't connect with them on a level that they recognize that they need your support. So the next thing that I would say to do is either put together an offer. It doesn't need to be anything fancy. It can be on a Google Docs piece of paper. Write down an offer that you think will be best to support them, whether that's a consulting package to come up with a strategy, work
Hmm.
closely or co-create with them,
Hmm.
or whether it is a coaching package that you think will work best for them. And then ask them
Hmm.
ask them if, I understand we've had a chat a while back and I've been doing my research, and these are the things that I've found out from other people that I've been connecting with, and I'm putting together this offer or this coaching program or this consulting package. I think you'd be a great fit for it for XYZ reason, XYZ problems, and I will help you do XYZ, solve this problem. Do you think that this is something that you'd be interested in? Or you can even show them what you have got, and then you can ask them for their feedback. So you're almost like you're co-creating it with them. Don't ever create an offer in a silo, on
Hmm.
your own, thinking that this is going to be amazing, and then no one sees it. And then you put it out there and then you wonder why no one wants it. It's because, well, you actually haven't really made sure that it's what they want. So
Hmm.
put it in front of your ideal clients, let them have a look at it, and then see if it resonates. Ask them, does this resonate with you? Am I missing anything? Is there something else that you need? Have I missed the mark completely here? Tell me your feedback. Like, ask people, because this is all part of the early stages of building your business. And then from there, once you go away, tweak it, or you can tweak it whilst you're on the phone with them, then you go back and be like, how does this look now? And it's almost like it sells itself, right? They're like, oh my God, you're in my head, or this is exactly what I need. And that's it.
Hmm.
So it's not anywhere near as difficult as people make it out to be. And it's pretty simple process once you kind of get it down pat. And once you've got that offer done, then you can go and take it and connect with more people or people you have done before and get your first clients in that way. That's how it's done. It's
Hmm.
not through, shouting from the rooftops or anything like that. It's actually co-creating with people that you think will be your perfect ideal clients.
Hmm. So then let's say you have the real job and you get a couple clients.
Hmm.
And let's say you're, I don't know, a coach of some kind. How do you manage the first few clients? Because your first few clients might, let's just say, they bring in $2,000 a month, which is not enough to live on. And then you have
Hmm.
your job.
Yeah.
What, you're kind of in a little quagmire for a while. What do you do then?
Yeah. So, as in, do they take on more clients, or do they just? Do you mean like delivering the coaching,
Yeah,
or?
they can't deliver the services without losing their
Mm,
job, but they can't lose their job yet because they don't have money.
yeah.
And what are any tips or suggestions for that?
Yes, yeah, exactly. So I always say with the coaching, especially with coaching itself,
Mhm.
make sure that the coaching offer that you put together isn't long. Don't make it like 3 months, 6 months, or something like that. Actually make it something really short, like a
Mhm.
month. So even if it's a month's worth of coaching, you meet each week, 1 hour a week, or if it's 2 hours every 2 weeks or something like that. So you can then manage your time accordingly, so that when you come home from work, like, okay, right, I've got my coaching call at 6 p.m. till 8 or 6 till 7 or something like that. And you let everyone know in your family, whatever it is, that this is what you're doing. And it allows you not to overextend yourself and not overwork yourself.
Mhm.
That's very much what I had to do when I was still working a day job and trying to get the course creation agency off the ground. I took on really small projects. And so I say this for my consulting or for my service delivery clients, is take on small projects, something that that you can do pretty quickly, that would take you either a week or two to complete. And then you're finished and you're done and you go on to the next one. Taking on long projects or long coaching arrangements just means that it takes up so much time, and then you'll also become a bit flat because you're like, oh my God, I'm still trying to manage work, I'm still trying to manage everything in between, plus you got your coaching clients as well. Just take on smaller short-term projects and clients to help manage that. And then once you get to a point where you keep doing the same thing, you're getting results for your clients, you're helping them get transformation, you increase the price of that same product. So
Hmm.
then you're not having to then um, extend it. You're just actually increasing the price. And that's what I did when I first, first few clients that I got. I think the first package that I sold was like $1,000.
Hmm.
And I kept doing the same thing over and over again. And I increased it. Each new client I got, I made it 1,500, 2,000, 3,000. I
Hmm.
think the last one at that same one was about $4,000 or so, and it felt good for me. So I only had to take 2 clients for that month, and I think it was about a month or so. And I was at a point where I didn't need to, like, I wasn't so heavily reliant on my salary to
Hmm.
then help me move forward. So that's my tip to my clients is, start out small and then keep increasing your price for that same package. And just have the one package. Don't change, don't create a new one, which is always a temptation. Well, I'm going to change it. I'm going to make it this, or I'm going to do something else. No, no, no. Stick with
Hmm.
the same thing. Don't change it. Just stay on that path. And that
Hmm.
is your ticket to kind of transitioning out of the day job.
Yeah, I love that. So keeping it very, very simple, get really good at delivering that transformation,
Mm,
raise the price, then your confidence will be there. Now, I know we're running low on time, so I have a couple other important questions because I
sure.
think you might be able to speak to this. Is the plan sounds simple? You've done it, lots of people have done it, but there's a even bigger group of people who will never do it, even though they learned the steps, they watch the training, they want to do it, they feel like they should do it. And I think it has to do with the space between their ears. So, can
Yeah.
you speak to us about the mindset? Like, what things do they need to have going through their mind, or what limiting beliefs do they need to kill so that they can actually make this jump? Have you dealt with that?
Yeah. Yeah, I have. And most of the time it does come down to mindset, but I also think it comes down to the motivation behind it.
Hmm.
So I tend to ask, and I ask this in my Facebook group, my community, that has come up a couple of times, like, well, why is it important to you? And that's a valid question to ask, because most of the time when you get into the rhythm of, like, I'm working and I'm doing all the things, you can completely lose sight of why is it that I'm doing this. I'll give you an example. A lady in my community, she's been in the community for a while, and she went on holiday over the summer, and she, for about 6 8 weeks, something like that, and she's decided to take a break from trying to get her business off the ground.
Hmm.
And I said, this is great, why is it that you've decided to do that? And she said that she wants to just enjoy herself. She's been trying to figure out her niche and all of that stuff, and been really forcing it. And I said, and so she said that I just need to take a break from it just to figure out what's important. And one of the things that she said is, I've completely lost sight of why I'm doing this,
Hmm.
why it's important, and what my motivation was. Her motivation to start it 3 years ago was different to what it is now. Things have changed. She's moved countries. She's teaching somewhere else. So it's completely different. So she's just taking a break to figure out what her next step is. And I think that's, people forget that. So come back to why it's important. So for me, it was for my family, my kids, to also show them that they can do anything that they put their mind to. And if they
Hmm.
want to have a business of their own, that's completely fine. If they want to go and work for someone, that's also fine. But giving them options and showing them, not just telling them, but showing them that there are different ways to live your life, and also to be fully in control of what I do and how I go about living that. So that was important to me. That's always my why. I always come back to that. And even as business owners ourselves, I'm sure you can attest to this as well, Josh, is that you get to a point sometimes like, why am I doing this again? Or even you'll find yourself doing something like, why? What? Is this really even important anymore? you
Hmm.
know so yeah, so for the people who read all the things, they've bought all the things, but still not where they are, yes, it is a little bit of mindset work, but it's more so, why is it important? I would guarantee that that's the reason behind it. They're not quite sure why they're doing it, or they're not as motivated as they once were
Hmm.
to kind of get it going. So just give that some thought and mull that over and see what comes up. And if you are still at a place where you're feeling as motivated, or not as motivated, but the desire is still there, then then it's the mindset stuff that's stopping you and kind of stopping you from moving forward.
Hmm. That's interesting. So motivation, then maybe mindset, maybe fears, limiting
Yeah.
beliefs. And you've probably seen it or at least read Simon Sinek's book, but he's got a TED talk on the, knowing your why. And I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
it's important for everyone to kind of think through because it can't just be about money. Sometimes it is. I know
Yes.
when I got started by consulting a little over 10 years ago, it was, I was in real estate and I'd been laid off and basically lost everything and had two kids and I was like, huh, I need to make some money. So
Yes.
that was my
Yes.
why.
Exactly. That's right. But you need to make money so you can put some food on the table for your kids. Like there's
Pretty
a
much.
strong, strong why there. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Mhm.
That's the two are linked for sure. So yeah.
Definitely. So that'll get you moving. But beyond that, I mean, what you do is very valuable work, and I love setting entrepreneurs free. Very similar work because there's so many people who are stuck, and to see them transform is a beautiful thing. Well,
Oh,
let me leave you a couple of last questions. So, what's one thing you want to leave the audience with that I didn't ask you about, but you think is important for people to know more about you and what you do?
I think one of the things that I think is important is not overcomplicating it. And it's easier said than done. But it really, as some of the things that I've shared earlier and in this in our conversation, are really quite simple. And I think that in the space of, kind of setting up systems and processes and a lot of the stuff that you talk about as well, we forget the simplicity of, actually picking up the phone and actually calling someone, and calling
Mhm.
an organization or whatever it is, and just asking, finding the right person to speak to, like don't forget that. That is, bread and butter of any business. So don't overcomplicate things or overcomplicate what you want to do. Keep it really simple because you need the simplicity because you do have so many other things going on. You've got a job to work to, you've got projects that you're doing, or you've got your family to look after as well. Keep it really simple, but still allow yourself to move forward as well.
Mhm. Great advice. Couldn't agree more. Where can people find out more about you, Janet, and what you do?
Yes, yeah, you can find me over at janetkafadar.com. You can also find me on Facebook. I do Facebook Lives pretty much every other day or so, or you can come and find me in my Facebook group community, Build Your Biz After Dark. Yes, those are probably the best places that I hang out. I email my list every week with shenanigans and stuff that's happening in my life, along with business stuff as well. So, I am a mum of three, with a business and a consulting business as well. So I am completely with you as well.
Well, very good. Well, everyone who's listening, especially if you can really relate to Janet's situation with the kids and juggling all these different things, check out her page, her Facebook page, website. And Janet, really appreciate you being on the show today. Everyone's tuning in next week where I'm going to share with you another interview from either one of my previous clients or a business expert like Janet, sharing a tool, technique, or resource on how you can make more and work less. And also, if you'd like a copy of the best-selling book, Work the System, you can download it on our website, but also you can get a free copy by leaving us a review leave us a review either on whatever podcast place you're listening to this, or YouTube, or our website. Just leave us a review and send us an email of that review to info@workthesystem.com. Once a week, we draw out a name and we mail out a book. So maybe you can win. So to do that, and otherwise, we'll catch you next week.